I'm doing a series on how to set up parental controls for the various popular streaming media services. If you haven't checked out my other videos, I'll link to them in the description below so that you can set up parental controls for all of the various streaming media that you have for your family. In today's video, let's talk about setting up parental controls for Disney Plus. Disney Plus is one of the largest streaming media services just behind Netflix. It's a very, very popular option for families. I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know to set up profiles for your kids and how to set the right parental controls for those. You can set up new profiles for your Disney Plus account either through a web browser on a computer or through the Disney Plus app on your phone or through the Disney Plus app on a TV. The setup should be relatively the same across all three of those platforms. Now with Disney Plus, you can actually have up to 7 profiles on a single account, which is really nice for my family. I've got 5 kids. And with Netflix, they only allow 5 total profiles. So I had to kind of bundle up some of my kids with that. With this, each of my kids can have their own profile if I want to do it that way. I'll go ahead and add a new profile. We can do that straight here from the profile screen. If we wanted to edit an existing profile, we would switch to edit mode by clicking edit profiles. I'll go ahead and add a new profile right now. Now, because I've set it up to restrict adding new profiles, because I don't want my kids to just be able to add a new profile with any kind of settings themselves, like on the TV. So I've set it up so that it requires the account password in order to create a new profile. And I'll show you in a little bit where to go in the settings and enable that for your account. So the first step for setting up a new profile is setting an avatar. There's tons of options across all the Disney, Marvel, Star Wars. So then we need to fill in some basic pieces of information in order to create this profile. So we need to name the profile something. I usually just use the first initial of my kids' names. And then we also need to fill in a birth date. Now for kids 17 and younger, based on the birth date, it will actually gray out the gender box. So you won't need to choose anything for the gender once you put in the birth date for 17 and younger. There's also a junior mode option, which will create more of a simplified user interface. I'll go ahead and enable this so we can kind of see what that looks like. And then a final step for creating the profiles, we have to agree to Disney's terms and conditions for having a child profile. So once the profile is created, we can go ahead and go into the edit profiles option and we can start setting the parental controls. Now, one of the things that you're going to want to do if you haven't already is set up a profile pin for your main account so that you would need a pin in order to get into that. And you can do that by editing the main profile and scrolling all the way here to the bottom, and we have an option for profile pin. So you'll turn that on, you'll set a 4-digit pin for the main profile. Now you can set up pins for the other profiles as well if some of your kids want to have a pin in order to go into their profile so that their siblings aren't watching stuff on their profile. You can do that as well in the same way. Now we can go in and set up the parental controls on this new kid's profile that I set up. So we're gonna come in here and we have a few different options that we can set. So there's various kind of autoplay options. So whether if they're watching like a TV series, whether or not new episodes start playing automatically. If you don't want an endless stream of shows that are just kind of playing one right after the other, I would suggest disabling this. And then the background video is when you are kind of browsing through the different titles and you stop on one and it starts playing like a clip from the show or a trailer for the movie. And so I recommend disabling that as well. And then here we have the junior mode setting. So this is what I enabled when I created the profile. We can also turn it off here. And if junior mode is turned on, then we also have an option for a kid-proof exit. So this would be for like pretty young kids if you don't want them to be able to get out of that kid's profile very easily to go back to the main profile, especially if you have other kids where maybe you don't have a pin set for another child, but they're a little bit older, so they have access to maybe a higher content level. Now, with junior mode turned on, we don't have an option to select content rating because junior mode will automatically sort of curate the content that is available. If I turn off junior mode here, if I turn off junior mode here, then I have an option to come in and choose a content rating for this profile. So maybe I choose PG, TV PG, depending on the age of your kids. There's a lot of different options here. And then we also have an option when we're not in junior mode, we have an option to whether we want to allow like live shows like sports and news. I'll go ahead and turn that off for my kids because they don't need that. And then here's where we can set up a profile pin for your kid for their profile. I'll go ahead and turn junior mode back on and let's go in and kind of see what it looks like. Okay, so now if we go into the profile, okay, so now I'm gonna click done to get out of the edit profiles mode. And now I can click in and see the profile. So now this has a simplified interface. It has an already sort of curated set of content. Obviously, this is really geared toward younger kids. So my youngest is 8, and so I will go ahead and switch him out of junior mode because he is a little bit too old for a lot of this content. Now, the last thing I want to let you know about is how to set so that you need the account password in order to create new profiles. And you need to actually do that from the account settings in the primary profile. So now we're in the primary profile, and I will go into the account. And if we scroll all the way down in the account settings, we have this option for restrict profile creation. So I do recommend turning this on so that your kids can't just create new profiles themselves on the TV or on a device. So that's what you need to know about setting up parental controls for Disney Plus. Let me know in the comments what you think about Disney Plus's parental controls, which streaming services you use. Let me know what streaming services you'd like me to make videos on. Again, I'm in a series here where I'm covering parental controls for the top streaming services like Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Hulu, and Paramount Plus. So make sure to check out those other videos. They'll be linked in the description below. Thanks for watching.